Everyone loves Flamingo, but Twitter hates him. So today, we'll explore the time Twitter tried ruining Flamingo's career, but failed miserably. Flamingo is one of the biggest and most popular Roblox YouTubers of all time. Over the last 5 years, he's garnered a massive audience of over 13 million subscribers and 11.6 billion views. However, this was not without controversy, as one of the biggest platforms on the internet seems to absolutely hate him, and the reason is not what you'd expect. But before we dive deeper, make sure to subscribe with notifications on to help me reach 50,000 subscribers and to never miss an upload on my channel ever again. In order to fully understand where this started, we need to go back to Flamingo's first big YouTube channel. You see, the family-friendly kids entertainer Flamingo we all know and love now wasn't the original Flamingo. Instead, he began on a different channel named Albert Stuff that was infamous for all the wrong reasons. Albert Stuff had garnered over 1 million subscribers, but not through creating content that should be shared with a child audience. However, instead, incredibly edgy content that was designed to target a more mature audience. But the big issue is, Roblox is a children's game primarily, and Albert's content was misplaced. However, some people had a very different idea, and as we'll discuss, the people on Twitter didn't just see Albert's content as controversial or edgy, but instead immoral, horrific, and even downright disgusting. The situation reached such a point in which Flamingo's entire online career was called into question. However, everything began spiraling downhill when Roblox drama YouTuber Parlo published a video entitled "This Roblox YouTuber was cancelled, Albert/Flamingo allegations." And while the video began by explaining who Flamingo was, it soon took a dark and unexpected turn, as Flamingo would revert back to his old persona whilst on his new Twitter account, as he published a tweet which read, "Finally things are back to normal," showing the Twitter trending tab with two incredibly disturbing topics being "Death to America" and ISIS. Now, whilst on the surface it's incredibly clear that this was a stupid, edgy joke, it turned the entire Twitter platform against him. They were not happy and were willing to do anything or everything to end his career in an instant. However, this wasn't the only tweet which landed Flamingo into huge amounts of hatred within the Twitter community, as a second post would get him into even more controversy. This post was far more edgy and insane. The tweet shared a YouTube link to an incredibly bizarre song by none other than the German dictator Adolf Hitler, entitled "I'm Still Standing," but as an AI cover by Elton John. These tweets reached so many users on the platform that Flamingo began receiving viral waves of hate, with the first user stating, "Anti-Semitism. Anyways, unfollow Albert Stuff, this isn't funny." The fact that this tweet got over 3,000 likes and 200,000 views is insane, and the user who posted it literally commanded all of the people who saw the tweet to unfollow him. However, the hate only got a whole lot worse, as people began getting personally upset about the situation to the point of it disrupting their personal lives. This former Flamingo fan said, "I came home earlier visibly upset with Albert, and my mum made me tell her what's wrong, so I briefly explained everything to both of my parents. They're making fun of it now. Get me out of here, I genuinely cannot take this." I think it goes without saying that if the situation actually upset you, you need to go outside and touch some grass. However, some people mocked the situation and the public's insane response, with one user stating, "Oh god, this will be a reality," and attached was a picture of a popular YouTuber apology thumbnail which features a ukulele, but instead with Albert's face photoshopped over the top. Albert definitely shouldn't have to apologize for this situation. However, what if I told you the hate got so bad that Twitter forced him to not only respond, but release an apology for the behavior that he never should have to say sorry for? On October 8th, Flamingo tweeted out, "Yeah, dumb tweet, didn't realize how that came off in my head, was responding to a thing about with an insane video that popped up, sorry." This was completely unnecessary and only fueled the spiral of hate he was already receiving. However, this didn't seem to stop Twitter and the online community from attacking Flamingo endlessly, as even after the apology, fans were posting tweet-longers crying about the original joke tweet, including a user named Tom who wrote, "10 years down the drain, over a nut. Like, I don't know what to do. My whole personality is based around him, and now I have to change that. My whole personality because of a damn joke. I love him to death. He's the sole reason I'm mentally stable right now. And seeing him go down like this because of a stupid thing he said is absolutely ridiculous. I can't defend him, I'm not going to. He needs to know what he said was and what he did was bad, and he needs to be able to hold himself accountable for that. He needs to go over what he said and make an apology, not some shit one that actually means something. A shitty one is not going to save his career or his fandom. I'm just hoping he fixes it, because I really can't lose the man I've spent almost 10 years watching. The fact that this guy is so invested in Flamingo that him making one joke tweet about a topic that maybe he shouldn't have touched is perhaps the biggest example of the true reason why so many people on Twitter hate Flamingo. The truth is, he's beloved by almost everyone in the Roblox community, and while on the surface this is a blessing, netting him tens of millions of subscribers, billions of views, and multi-millions of dollars every single year, what many people don't think about is the dark side behind Flamingo being so loved. At a certain point when people like a creator, it crosses the line from normal to obsession. An extremely prominent example of this are the fandoms of the creators a part of the Dream SMP bubble. But one factor adding to the problem is the young audience members. People who don't have a lot of life experience tend to find themselves living through somebody else's life and building an incredibly unhealthy attachment to said individual. And in the case of Flamingo, this problem seems to only keep getting worse. However, luckily some people still seem to have an iota of sense, such as this individual named David, who published a tweet reading, "I'm Jewish and I'ma be real. Was Albert in bad taste to post that? Sure, but anti-Semitic? I genuinely don't see that. Why is this made into something so huge?" And while David seems to understand that the situation really wasn't that serious, Billy the Coolest didn't seem to get the memo. As a Jewish person, I can't really find it in my heart to forgive you, especially with everything going on right now, but at least you apologize. This response implies that what Flamingo said was in some way, shape, or form bad. It makes it out as if he was supporting the actions of the German dictator, or posting a picture of a Nazi and saying based, when in reality he posted a silly song cover of a famous audio from history in a really stupid tweet that was at worst a little distasteful. However, whilst the community response ended up being very divided on this, the truth isn't actually in the middle. But if we're being real, Flamingo doesn't deserve any of this hate, and at the end of the day, it's just Twitter being Twitter. They will try and attack you for literally anything, and Flamingo, being one of the biggest Roblox channels on YouTube, is obviously going to have some weirdos trying to call him out for stuff. We saw this when YouTuber Looped Q called out Flamingo and tried to say he was promoting NSFW content to his audience, when that just wasn't the case. And I made a video about how Looped Q was trying to reach to try and create a false narrative to expose Flamingo, when obviously that wasn't true. But what do I personally think of all this? I think that Twitter has always been a problem, and I will talk about that in a sec, but if we're gonna be honest, the hate seems forced and is so stupid. It's obvious that Flamingo has edgy humor based off his videos, so I'm not really surprised that Twitter eventually got into that and tried using it against him. Flamingo is an icon. I respect him very much, but I think the problem lies with Twitter. Twitter has always been a place filled with hate. You can't say anything edgy on it, or you will be instantly executed. And we have seen time and time again with Twitter mobs just hating on people for no reason, or using false allegations like they do with Paolo to try and somehow ruin his career. And if you're one of these people, you should really consider going outside and touching some grass. But as always, if you're new to the channel and you enjoy content like this, please make sure to subscribe with notifications on, join my Discord in the top link in the description or the pinned comment, and if you want to watch something similar to this, click the video on screen now.